Get serious for a minute. You know, folks, despite the hype, life isn't always filled entirely with fun and games. I want to caution you as we step gingerly over the police tape that surrounds today's story. This one's a little rough to deal with, especially if you happen to be a parent, and most especially if you happen to be the parent of daughters. That's right. I want to talk to you today about sex trafficking and a family right here in Texas that went through it. And you'll notice that I'm not going to give you anyone in that family's name. There's your first clue that this isn't a pretty situation. Now, imagine with me that you're at a stadium with your 15-year-old daughter. You're watching a basketball game. She gets up to go to the bathroom. You stay and keep watching the game. After all, she's 15. She's old enough at this point to handle going to the restroom and finding her way back, one would assume. Sure, she's 15, so she thinks she's more grown up than she actually is, but she's old enough for you to cut the apron strings just a little bit, okay? So you keep watching the game, but then after a while, you notice that she hasn't come back yet. In fact, she doesn't come back at all. You came to this game with a daughter, but you're leaving with no daughter, and unbeknownst to you, at least for now, she's already being transported against her will to another state where over the next couple of weeks before the cops find her, she will be prostituted out in a hotel room. That's the situation that a Texas father found himself in and that his daughter found herself in just last month. Now, when the man's daughter didn't come back after leaving to go to the bathroom, he immediately got a hold of the police and the officials at the American Airlines Center, which is in Dallas. They were watching the Mavericks play, and he let them know that his daughter was missing. They searched until the end of the game, not finding her, and then told the father to go home. Again, if you're a parent, it's right about here that the terror begins to sink into the pit of your stomach. Over the next several days, this family called the police department there in Dallas, trying to get them more involved in what increasingly seemed to them like a kidnapping situation. The police, meanwhile, did not open an investigation. And why? Because missing juveniles are investigated as runaways unless it appears that they have indeed been kidnapped. And I know what you're thinking. What about security footage? Well, good on you for watching so much CSI. Yeah, the security footage showed her leaving with a man. Eventually, the family had to go with a nonprofit organization, the Texas Counter-Trafficking Initiative, and thank God for them because they're the ones who found her in a hotel in Oklahoma City, not the police. Now, I think you know how I feel about the police in general. I have the greatest respect for those who serve and protect us. You know that. And let me also say that I understand that 15-year-old girls running away is probably a common enough occurrence that it would make sense for a police officer's intuition to point in that direction first. However, I can't help point out when I think the police have been in error, and it sure seems like they were in error here. It sure seems like they might have been able to spare this family and this girl in particular an awful lot of heartache. Sex trafficking, folks, is real. It is a massive blight on our society that's so under the radar of most people, we don't even realize how bad it is. You know that there are more slaves owned in the world today than there were before the Civil War. Do you know that? Parents, I'm not saying keep your kids on a leash, but please be aware of where they're at, especially when you're in a huge space filled with tens of thousands of people. And as for the police, maybe you should be investigating cases like this a little bit harder before you just determine it's a runaway. And finally, why in the hell wouldn't you try to really damn hard to get a 15-year-old runaway back in the first place? So come on, folks. We can do better than this. The police have enough BS shade thrown at them for supposedly being systemically racist. Let's not add something real to complain about. Protect your kids, folks. It's a mean world out there. It's a scary, scary story.
Yes.
And I think, it can happen anywhere. When you have Houston and Dallas as the 1 and 2 cities in America for sex trafficking.
They're hubs.
They're the hubs, that I-45 corridor. It's scary.
Get them straight out of town. It really is. I think a lot of people, because like you were saying, no one talks about it, and a lot of people don't realize that it's such a problem. People think I'm so overprotective, and I'm just like, you guys don't understand. I could let my son go to the bathroom at a restaurant and never see him again if I'm not careful.